R. Sugaraj Samuel. He is working as a professor in physics at New College, Chennai. He is also training students for IIT JEE, AIEEE and BIT SAT. He has more than 16 years experience in both teaching and research. He has published a book titled The Complete Handbook of Bachelor of Electronics Science Practicals, which is prescribed for the syllabus for BSc Electronics Science by University of Madras. He has presented papers in several national and international conferences and has also conducted many training programs and workshops to motivate energetic students. His research areas are ultrasonic, polymers, crystal growth and photovoltaic systems. He is experienced in both regular classroom teaching and online teaching as well.
Welcome to UGC lecture series on oscillations and waves. We have been discussing about the superposition of oscillations. In this lecture, we are going to take yet another special superposition case. In this lecture, we are going to see the superposition of SHMs with different frequencies and also the concepts related to beat frequency and modulation. We have already discussed the superposition of two SHMs with same frequency. Now, the same frequency is relaxed here. We are going to take up for the discussion the superposition of two simple harmonic motions with different frequencies. Let us see how we could write the equations of the two SHMs with two different frequencies. As usual, first we will take up the analytical approach, that is the mathematical approach for the superposition, and then the phasor approach also. So, let us have a look at the expressions of the two SHMs with different frequencies. Let us consider the two SHMs with different frequencies and same amplitudes and different phases as these two expressions. X1 is equal to A sin omega 1 t plus phi 1, and similarly the displacement x2 is A sin omega 2 t plus phi 2. The point I would like to highlight here is the omega 1 here, and here it is omega 2. So, this definitely shows that the two frequencies of the two SHMs are different. The previous case the omega was same and we got a resultant oscillation that also has the same frequency, but in this case it is different. The frequencies are different. It is taken purposely as omega 1 and omega 2 as two different frequencies, and we have made one compromise with the amplitude. We could have taken the amplitudes also as different amplitudes A1 and A2. Have a look at the expression. They are not taken as A1 and A2 for a easy calculation. For easy simplification, let us take the same amplitudes A. In the course of simplification, we may have to take this A as a common term outside. So, for making the mathematical steps easy, we have imposed a condition, but that is a easy condition. The two amplitudes, let them be the same. For the previous case, the frequencies were same, but the amplitudes were different, but in this case the frequencies are different, omega 1 and omega 2, but amplitudes are same. It is both the cases it is A only. It is done for the mathematical reasons. As we proceed, we will be able to appreciate why this A is common for both, because it will make the mathematical steps little easy. After understanding the mathematical steps, we can take up the analytical approach with different amplitudes also. Only thing is little bit of complicated simplifications will come, otherwise it is simple. So, we have imposed that condition, let the amplitudes be the same. Now, we are going to use the analytical approach. We are going to add them. Now, add them to find the resultant. It is simple addition. The resultant x is the addition of the individual displacements x1 and x2, and we have substituted for x1 and x2 here. X1 is this expression a sin omega t plus phi 1, and x2 is a sin omega 2 t plus phi 2. As I said earlier, for mathematical reason we have taken this a common and we have written these two trigonometric functions as in the summation form, this sine of a term plus sine of another term. But this addition requires the knowledge of the basic trigonometric identities. For the previous superposition also, we very much depended on the trigonometric identities, and here also we have to depend on the results that we have from trigonometry. So, let us have a look at the trigonometric identities which are available, which would also be useful for further simplifying the addition of these two sine terms. Let us have a look at the trigonometric identities. The following are the useful trigonometric identities. This is called a set. A sin c plus sin d takes this form, sin c minus sin d takes this form, cos c plus cos d takes this form, cos c minus cos d takes this form. These are the identities which we learn at a higher secondary level. When we have these identities at hand, 4 identities are there. So, depending on the way we add them, if the phase is something different, then we will have to use a minus sign between the two trigonometric functions. So, we have the 4 trigonometric possible identities which are useful here, but in our case both are sine and sine. So, which identity is useful? Sine of a value plus sine of another value. Which identity is useful? Let us have a look at it. I think the first identity itself could be used, because sin c plus sin d is equal to 2 sin c plus d divided by 2 cos c minus d divided by 2. So, this identity is useful for further simplifying our mathematical expression. So, now we engage this identity for further simplification. Let us expand using these first identity. This is the identity. Once again this expression is shown for further simplification, and we have used that identity here. So, sin of c plus d by 2 cos c minus d by 2, the c and d terms could be considered as these two terms, and we proceed with the simplification, and it is self explanatory. The steps are self explanatory here. I would like to highlight upon the final term that we arrive here. So, x is equal to 2a sin, and this term, if you have a look at it carefully, it is nothing but the average. It is omega 1 plus omega 2 divided by 2. Of course, the t is there, it is retained in the final expression. So, this is the average of the two frequencies. So, it is here, and similarly this term is also the average of the two individual phases, phi 1 plus phi 2 divided by 2, that is written here as phi average. So, here we could easily identify these two terms as the average values, and again a cos function comes. The cos function has the differences omega 1 minus omega 2 divided by 2. Similarly, here phi 1 minus phi 2 divided by 2. So, it is the half of the difference. We do not have a special name for it. Here we have a special name, average, we can easily say, but here it is half of the difference. So, it is represented here as h dot difference, half difference, and this phi 1 minus phi 2 divided by 2 is also represented here as half difference. When we have a look at this final expression that we have arrived, we have two trigonometric functions appearing in the product form. Let us have a look at it again. sine of something multiplied with cos of something. Originally when we have a look at the starting equation, it is addition, sine of something plus sine of something, but finally we have arrived as sine of some expression multiplied with cos of some expression. So, we need to properly interpret this. It appears sine of a function, it is enveloped by cos of another function. There are two trigonometric functions existing simultaneously on the resultant equation. So, how it could be visualized? So, we have a diagrammatic representation of this final expression. So, let us have a look at it. Here it is written, if omega average is greater than the omega of off difference. So, if this is the average which is greater than this off difference frequency, there are two frequencies that also we should notice, not only sine and cos functions appearing in this final expression, there are two different frequencies now. One is the average frequency, another one is the half difference frequency. So, we have taken up the two frequencies for discussion. If omega average is greater than omega half difference, then the interpretation for the above equation is that the low frequency cosine wave acts as an envelope for the amplitude of the high frequency sine wave, because here sine has got the high frequency, omega average is definitely greater than omega half difference, because here we are adding and dividing by 2, here we are finding the difference and dividing by 2. So, definitely the omega half difference will definitely be less than that of the omega average. So, the low frequency term will envelop the high frequency term. The diagram, if we have a look at it, we will understand it. See, it is called the modulation, because the low frequency and high frequency, they mix up with each other, and how it is enveloped, it is shown here. See, here it is shown, one is the oscillation happening here, this is another one, and the addition is, this is the final expression. Oscillation is happening at a high frequency, that is the average, and here we have the amplitude itself varying. So, this is what we call as the envelope. The envelope is a cos. See, the cos will start with maximum at the origin. So, it starts with maximum, it is a cos. The cos envelopes the sine oscillation. The sine oscillation gets modified, but for this kind of modified amplitude that is happening for a high frequency oscillation is called modulation, because the amplitude of the sine wave, the high frequency, is getting modified, the amplitude itself is getting modified by another cos function, and that cos function is also called envelope, it is enveloped. So, this is called modulation. What is modulated? The amplitude is modulated. So, we call this as amplitude modulation. Now, this has to be properly understood. When we have this diagram before us, we will see here, instead of half difference, we have just written this as difference, because this diagram throws much more light on the term omega of the cos. See, when it is as the cos wave individually here, here is the maximum and here is the minimum, here is the maximum. So, when we count, when we find the frequency, this is how we have to find the frequency. Here there is a maximum appearing, after some time another frequency maximum appearing. So, this will decide the frequency of occurrence of the maximum. But when this resultant is taken into account, we have a maximum here, in the place of minimum also we have a maximum. So, when we add these two, this is how the modification is happening. So, in the minimum also we have a maximum occurring, that means this is the maximum region and this is the minimum region. If you consider the frequency of this modified thing, it is doubled. See here between these 2 points there is a variation, one single variation, but here between the same 2 points additional maximum is also occurring. This is due to the envelope phenomenon. So the difference is no more off, now it is again doubled. So when we sense it, half of the difference becomes double. So half of double is what? It is again the full. So it is the difference itself. So it is omega 1 minus omega 2, that difference alone will survive as far as the addition of the two waves is concerned. So the half term is dropped here, we say it is just the difference, because we will be able to sense the difference only when it is added, and this is called the modulation. What is the conclusion of this analysis? When we add two SHMs with different frequencies, then we get a resultant oscillation with modified amplitude. Not only we can say it is a modified amplitude, it is a modulated amplitude, because periodically the amplitude is varying. And what governs that variation? It is another frequency, in this case it is cos, because we have taken the two sine functions for addition. If we take two cos functions or sine and cos, like that, we have 4 combinations, that those identities will prompt us that we can have 4 different combinations for such addition. So definitely there are cases in which a cos function could also be enveloped by a sine function. Accordingly we will get the modified wave. So that will actually take it up to a greater or in-depth discussion, but that is not necessary at this stage. This itself is enough. So what we have understood is the amplitude is getting modulated. Rather than saying modified, we can still specifically say it is getting modulated with the another frequency. That frequency will be the difference between the two frequencies, and in what frequency the typical oscillation will occur? The oscillation will occur at the average frequency. If any one frequency is very high, either omega 1 or omega 2 is very high, that frequency will dominate, that will dominate the oscillation. Suppose say for example omega 1 is 1000 hertz and omega 2 is just 5 hertz. Omega 1 plus omega 2 divided by 2, what we will get? It is 1005 divided by 2. So definitely it is 1005 divided by 2, it is almost 1000 divided by 2, so 500 kind of thing. So the high frequency will definitely dominate the oscillation. The difference is only 5. So the envelope will have a frequency of just 5 hertz. This is called the modulation or modified oscillation. In sound we call this phenomenon as beat frequency. What is beat frequency? If two frequencies of slight difference are added, then we will have a frequency modulation which could be heard by the human ear as waxing and waning of sound. There will be increase and decrease of the sound intensity. The sound intensity is the square of amplitude. So we will hear increase and decreasing of sound. That is possible in sound, that we can even sense with the human ear. And the same thing in electromagnetic oscillations, waves and all that, it is just seen sometimes, it is absorbed by the receivers, and we can go for filtering of one frequency from the other. All these are possible, but this is the base for that. Before we take up the cases for discussion further, let us have a look at a clipping, in which if we vary a frequency slightly, there is a possibility for the appearance of the beat or the possibility of appearance of the omega, the envelope, that we will see now. Here in this clipping there are two frequencies here, this is one frequency, this is another frequency, they are just added we are slightly varying one frequency over the other. So, what is happening here, see the appearance of the envelope starts and still we fine tune this and see the beat frequency starts appearing, and finally because these two frequencies match with the condition, we get the envelope. The envelope is obtained. This is the cathode ray oscilloscope clipping. So, this helps us to understand this is a distorted view because the condition does not match. What we have seen right now, it is the addition of two waves. If it is properly matching, it will definitely produce a modulated wave with an envelope of modulation and all that. Now, we will proceed further with the concepts and see the case of beat frequency. The interpretation of the equation is that the amplitude of high frequency sine wave is modulated by the low frequency cos wave. This phenomenon in sound wave oscillations is called as beats, and this phenomenon in general for waves is called as modulation. In sound we specifically call it as beats because we will be able to hear the waxing and waning of sound. Now, what is beat frequency in sound? Let us have the definition of it. In sound, the beat is heard as waxing and waning of sound. The beat frequency will be the frequency difference of the two superimposing oscillations. The phenomenon of beats is useful in tuning the two vibrating bodies in unison. The beat frequency helps us to identify the mismatch between the two vibrating strings or vibrating bodies. If we reduce the beat frequency, we are bringing the two frequencies closer. If the beat frequency totally vanishes, if there is no waxing and waning of sound, it means the two frequencies are in phase with each other, that means they are in unison, there is no mismatch in the frequency between them. So, beat frequency has got lots of advantage. We are going to learn much more on this concept in a separate topic later under the title waves, because we are going to learn about sound wave. There we will learn about the superposition of two sound waves and how the beat frequency is heard, what is the advantage, everything. Now, again this is the analytical approach. Now, we have to move on to the next approach. What is that approach? It is the phasor approach. In every case we have these two approaches because this is there in the curriculum very much. In the phasor approach, how we are going to handle the case of two different frequencies. So, let us have a look at the phasor diagram for the case of two different frequency superposition, and it has been elaborately discussed earlier. So, I think one single diagram is enough to explain the entire phasor approach for this two different frequency superposition. And as usual, we take the first oscillation with amplitude A1 and it has got a initial phase of phi 1, and here a care should be taken that the A1 is rotating with an angular frequency of omega 1. Now, we have taken the A2 here, it is rotating with some other angular frequency omega 2, it is at a initial phase angle of phi 2. We could take it with a acute angle of phi 2 also, but it is a special case. So, we have taken it like this, and at an instant we have to consider they are at an instant means it is the flash of the picture. At an instant these two will have this position because they are rotating continuously rotating with omega 1 and omega 2 separately. So, this is clip that is taken at a flash of time at a moment. So, we find the resultant appearing here in the vector addition, and that resultant has a phase of phi with respect to the initial position here. So, what about this A? The A will also rotate because the A also has a frequency, angular frequency. So, that will also rotate. This is governed by these two rotations omega and omega 2. So, it is little complex. We have to visualize this picture as a moving, continuously moving picture. The omega 1 has a frequency, omega 2 has a separate frequency, and A will be governed by these two according to the original mathematical equation that we have already written. This A will also be rotating with a particular frequency. During that time, there is a possibility for the increasing speed and then decreasing speed, increase in frequency and decrease in frequency, and A will also vary accordingly. The A amplitude will also vary, it is governed by the frequency. So, we say the A is getting modulated because the A is getting adjusted, it is not remaining constant as like the previous case. In the case of same frequency, they all rotate with the same frequency. So, the resultant amplitude was not altered, but in this case as each term A1, A2 have different frequencies of omega 1 and omega 2, the resultant A will be very much varying in amplitude and also it will be varying in the speed. That is what is producing the modulation. It is little difficult to visualize, so a standstill diagram is shown. The phasor approach is very much helpful even in the case of two different frequencies also. Only thing is we have to draw them with the basics of A1 with phi 1, A2 with phi 2 and allowing them to move with two different angular frequencies omega 1 and omega 2. So, we have elaborately discussed the concept of superposition of two SHMs with two different frequencies. Let us have the summary of today's lecture. In this session, we have seen the concepts of superposition of two SHMs with different frequencies. Also, we have understood the concept of beat frequency in sound. Again, the concept of amplitude modulation, and we have also got an idea where this kind of modulation would be useful. It is useful for, in the case of sound, for making the two bodies vibrate in unison, and of course, in the case of communication and all, we can mix two different waves to have a better propagation. Like the sound wave is a very weak wave because its frequency is less, it is to be added with the carrier wave which is a high frequency wave. So, these two are mixed, it gets modulated, that has greater energy, it is sent for communication, and then at the receiver point the carrier wave which has carried the sound wave is filtered and the sound wave is separated and it is again amplified and it is used for the communication purpose. So, this has a great impact, or it has got the great advantage or application even in the electronic communication media. The modulation is done this way only, there the frequency is several frequencies are getting added. Now, it is time for us to test our understanding by answering these questions. Discuss the analytical method of analyzing superposition of two SHMs with different frequencies. What are beats in sound? Mention the applications of beats. Explain the concept of amplitude modulation. So, with this I would like to wind up this lecture. We have started one interesting category here, that the phasor diagram could be used for adding several waves, several oscillations, not just two. So, in the coming episodes we will see how we can add more than two SHMs to get a resultant and the concepts related to that. So, with this I wind up today's lecture. Thank you for listening.